So every morning I open Claude Code and I type 2 words. Morning briefing. Let's see what it gets me. So first of all, I'm getting a nice greeting, getting my calendar for the day, my top priorities pulled up from my actual project files, a suggested time block schedule, and 3 things I should probably deal with before lunch. All of that from 2 words. No context, no explaining what I'm working on, and no pasting in my to-do list. And this is the interesting thing. I built it myself in about 20 minutes, starting from literally an empty folder, and by the end of the video, you'll have exactly the same setup. But the most interesting part is not the skill itself. What's actually powerful is the framework underneath it. Because once you set it up, you can keep adding skills on top. A content creation skill, a research skill, a team checking skill, whatever you need. And every single one of them already knows who you are, what you're working on, and how you like things done. So that's what we're building today. And I promise it's way simple than it sounds. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we touch any code, let me explain to you what this actually is. So because when people hear usually executive assistant, they think some massive complicated AI is involved, but it's really not. Here's the concept in pretty much one sentence. You're going to set up a folder where Claude Code stores everything it needs to know about you and your work. That's it. That's the whole thing. So right now, every time you open Claude Code, you need to start fresh. You need to re-explain the whole project context, to upload it to Claude Code, to paste all conversation because it doesn't remember all of those stuff. You need to clarify what have changed, and only then you can start working. But with this framework, all of the context live inside the file. Claude Code reads them automatically. So instead of explaining yourself every single time, you just ask for what you need, and it already knows the rest. So as you can see in the diagram, right now we have four phases of setting this thing up. The first phase is we're going to give it a home, which is just opening up a folder. The second phase is to give it a brain. That's the Claude.md. We're going to go over it and what it means exactly. Overall, this is where we teach it about you, your business, and your preferences. The third phase is to give it hands. That's where we build our first actual skill. And phase 4 is we let it grow. This is basically the learning phase. How this thing gets smarter over time without you doing a lot of things. All right, so phase 1, let's dive in. Okay, so the first step will be to open VS Code. And if you're not familiar with this platform, I will link up my video up here where I explain everything you need to know about this platform and how to install Anthropic and Claude Code inside this platform. So when you're inside VS Code, you need to do a couple of things. The first one is to actually install Claude Code. So if you don't have it already, go over here on the left side to extensions. Right here in the search bar, write Claude Code. Then you'll have this thing pop up and you'll have to install it. After you have installed it, you'll have this little small thing here. You click on it and then you'll have Claude Code open up. So right here you'll have the login option. So just log in and then you'll see this thing pop up and then you will be able to chat with Claude Code. So right now, as you can see, we don't have nothing inside VS Code. So the first thing we're going to do is to open a new folder. So you can just click here on open folder. So as I said before, because we don't have a chat right now, we just go over here, click on the little orange button, and then you have the chat open up. Close all the other stuff that is not relevant. And right now, as you can see, the folder is empty, and because Claude Code doesn't know what this project is. So the very first thing we need to do is to create a Claude.md file. It's basically the instruction manual that Claude Code reads every single time it starts a conversation. You can think about it like a system prompt, but it lives inside a file. So right now, a moment before we start actually writing the Claude Code, I'll explain to you how it should be built. So the key insight that took me a while to figure out is that Claude.md should not contain all of your information. It should point to where the information lives. Because if you dump just everything inside there, your bio, projects, preferences, or whatever you want, you're going to burn through your context window really fast. Because let me explain to you for a second how this thing is built. You can think about it like this. Every time before you send text to Claude Code, let's say this is your text, Claude Code injects by himself a lot of information, which is not only Claude.md, it also injects the skill, the context, and a lot of other stuff. So maybe you don't see it, you only see the text, but before every time you chat with Claude Code, you have a lot of information going through. So if you have the Claude.md as a really big and bloated file, it will eat up your token really fast, and then it will just cost you a lot of money. So to make stuff much easier for us, this is what we're going to build the structure like. Claude.md is going to be at the top. This is basically the brain. It points at everything else. It says, here's who I am. Here's where to find other things. And then underneath that, you got all kinds of folders. A context folder is for the stuff about you and your business. We'll build it together. A skill folder is where things that Claude Code can actually do. A decision folder for logging important choices. And a project folder for whatever you are currently working on. So let's set it up. I will tell Claude Code to build it up together. Okay, so right now I plugged inside this whole text. If you can read through all of it, but if you want, I will link it in my free school community. And again, right here, you see this little button. If you don't know what it is, I will link my video that I explained everything about Claude Code right here above. And right now we'll put it in plan mode. So Claude Code will help us to plan this whole structure, and we'll set it off. So the user wants to scaffold their EA workspace with a clean folder structure and the root Claude.md. That's exactly what we want. We want the context, a skill, and decision in the project folders, and Claude.md in the repo root with concise pointers to each directory. Yeah, matches exactly what we want, so I'll auto accept it. So right now I'll put it in bypass mode. And just like that, we've got our structure pretty fast. And if I click into Claude.md, you can see it already has sections pointing to each folder. For personal and business knowledge, it should go to context. For reusable behaviors and mini workflow, it will go to skills. For log of choices and reasoning, to decisions. And for current work, it will go to projects. So that's pretty much the whole point. Claude.md don't need to hold this whole information inside its memory. You just need to know where to look. Okay, so phase 1 is done. We've got a home. Now, let's give this thing a brain. So right now, Claude Code knows exactly where to look for information, but there is no actual information in there yet. We need to create a me.md file and a word.md file. And you could do this manually. You can just open each file and type stuff inside, but honestly, it's way faster to just tell Claude Code to interview you. As you can see, I prompted it to ask me a couple of questions. I told it, I need you to interview me so you can fill in the context files. Ask me about who I am, my business, my current priorities, and how I like to work. Fill in me.md, work.md, and priorities.md as we go. So let's click enter and see what we get. So right now it will ask you a couple of questions. You can answer it manually. I will just paste a PDF file with all of my answers. I'll select that, as you can see it right here. So I told it I added the info as a personal info PDF. Now it should go through the file and answer all of the questions manually. Now I'm just using a generic founder example of myself, but you can do any information to follow along. And look, it will keep asking you a couple of questions, and if Claude Code keeps asking you questions that you don't have answers to, you just say that you skip and you'll finish it later, that you don't know. It won't break anything, it's totally okay, and you can always come back and add more context. So as you can see, it asks a couple of more questions, like if I have a channel name, do I have a pricing model, what kind of tools do I use, and where do I post my content. So I answered, this is my name, this is the service that I'm giving, this is the tools that I'm using, and where I post mostly. So let's enter it. So let's see what we ended up with so far. Let's go into the context. Let's go into me. And as you can see, it put my name, my location, the time zones, the title of myself, and my work style. Then we can see the priorities. What are my 3 main priorities right now? And what's my work? It gave it some interesting name. Gave me my role, what I'm doing, and all kinds of other stuff. But we're not done yet. Let's talk about rules, because right now Claude Code knows who I am, but he doesn't know how I like things done. So we're going to add a rules section. So again, just tell him. So we can just tell him, add a communication rules section. I want everything to be concise, bullet points preferred, casual tone, no corporate speak, no emojis unless I ask for them. and set it to go, and let's see what we get back. As you can see, it updated Claude.md and it added this communication rules. Usually what will happen is that Claude will either update Claude.md or create separate rules file inside .claude. Either of them works, it's fine. The point is that next time you ask to draft anything, it will already match your style. Okay, so the second phase is done. Claude Code now knows who you are and what you're working on and how you like things done. Now let's give it actually something to do. Okay, so this is the interesting part I've been waiting to show you, because everything up to now has been only organizational. So as you saw in the beginning of the video, we're going to build a morning briefing skill. When it's done, you'll type /command morning brief, and Claude Code will put your priorities, check your schedule, and plan your entire day from 2 words. Now, if you've never built Claude Code skill before, don't worry, it's just a markdown file with instructions. No Python, no JavaScript, no API calls. Don't worry about it. It's just a file that tells Claude Code what to do when you trigger it. So again, we're going to go into plan mode and just tell it. I asked it to please help me build a morning brief skill. Ask me questions accordingly. So we'll send it, and right now it's going to think a little bit, and then it's going to ask us questions to make the skill the best and the most custom as it can for us. So as you can see, we got our first question. What should the morning brief include? Either today's priorities, calendar or schedule, content ideas, or business metric. I will click on other because I want all of those. How should this brief be triggered? I want it to be triggered when I manually run it. And I want it to read only the local files. So we'll submit the answers and let it go to work. So now it will finish planning, then it will give us the whole plan, we'll auto accept it, and it will get to work. So let's read it. The morning brief skills. We want the morning skill that give us a daily briefing covering priorities, calendar, and content ideas and business metrics, all pulled from the local files. And right here you can see the skills that are being made. It's building inside the .claude in skills. We're going to update the Claude.md, and the output format is going to be like this. Looks pretty good for me, so I'll accept it. Also, I'll put it in bypass mode, so it won't ask me questions every time. You know what, actually I will put it in ask before edit, so you'll see how it's exactly. So right now, when it's asking me for edits, this is what's going to happen. For every single edit, it's going to ask me. So I'll let it do whatever it wants, and when it will let me, I will put it in bypass mode, like this. Right now, it's not going to ask me any questions. It will just go to work without any questions. So as you can see, this is the skill that was actually built by Claude. This is the trigger, these are the instructions, these are the priorities, the daily schedule, the today's schedule, the content ideas, and the business pulse. And for each one of those, you can fill them up with your specific needs. For the schedule, you can connect it to your own calendar. For content ideas, you can create another skill for creating a content. And for business pulse, you can connect it to your business, to your ClickUp, Slack, or whatever you want. For me personally, I have connected all of them to my personal information, and it also told it to put it as a specific output in this specific order. So as you can see, like that, without any code, just plain instructions in a markdown file. And Claude Code follows them every time you type the command. So now, the moment of truth. Let me clear the conversation, start fresh, and just type /morning and see what we get. So look at that. It reads the priorities, checks the project folders, the project files, and now it's giving me a full morning brief. Top priorities, suggested schedule, things that I need to give it attention. And as you saw, I didn't explain a single thing, no context pasted, no here's what I'm working on. It's already knew everything, because we set up the framework in phases 1 and 2. Now here's where these things get more interesting. Right now, the skill just reads local files, but you can easily extend it. You can connect it to your calendar through an MCP server, have it check in your email, and pull from your project management tool. The skeleton is the same. You just need to add more steps to the instructions and give it access to more tools. Okay, so at this point, you've got a working executive assistant for the folder structure, context, and one skill. But here is what makes the framework actually different from just having a good system. So this is my personal Claude Code folders, and this is all of the skills that I have built in the last couple of months. So my challenge to you is this. For the next week, use this as your default. Don't open Claude on the web, don't use ChatGPT, just use your ear assistant. And every time you find yourself repeating something, or wishing it could do something, turn that into a skill. There is one thing that is really important to talk about, that isn't going to be perfect on the first day. The first time you're going to run your morning briefing, it's not going to be the best and it's going to suggest some weird stuff. That's fine, just call Claude Code and sell it. That last suggestion didn't make sense because of X. So let's have a quick recap. Phase 1, we set up the folder, created the Claude.md as the brain that points to everything else. The second phase was to let Claude Code interview you, fill the context files, and set up your rules. The third phase was to build your first skill. We decided to do morning brief. You can pick whatever you want and whatever saves you the most time. Use it every day and keep adding skills. And if you build something cool with this framework, drop it in the comments and I genuinely want to know what you guys came up with. Alright, so go build your assistant and I'll see you in the next one.